Larry Weiss joins me. Also, we've got Steve Langdon here. Hey. All right, for those who have not seen Larry Weiss, first of all, you know, the paparazzi's waiting.
I tell you, it's across on there, brother. It is across on there, John. And wait a minute, wait. It's camera. Feel Good Friday.
It is Feel Good Friday. And you're feeling good and looking good.
I am blessed, baby. I am blessed.
He's feeling good.
He is.
I am blessed. I'm living, I'm not existing, John.
Well, I love your energy, and you're energetic and feeling good about things because you really do help people. Because
I do.
One of the fears a lot of folks do have is going broke in a nursing home.
Don't go broke in a nursing home.
Tell them about what you do.
What we do is elder advisors, John, we help families transition their loved ones from their homes, home health care, assisted living, or long-term care using financial and legal strategies to protect families' assets so they don't go broke in a nursing home. Because all too often I find people are operating under barbershop law or beauty shop law, which is, you know, you hear all the scuttlebutt at the barbershop and it's almost always wrong. It's almost always well-intentioned, but it's almost always wrong. Steve does the legal exceptions for husband and wife. If one spouse is in a nursing home, we can protect all the assets. I don't care what barbershop law says. Steve knows the law. He's the attorney, okay? So if someone's in a nursing home writing checks for $79,000 a month, we can protect all the assets for husband and wife. There's what Steve calls special exceptions. If it's a single person, we can protect about half of those assets. Well, half of something's better than all of nothing. So, you know, I love what I do. I've been doing this since 1996. I've got 5 great people that work with me. We pretty much treat these people as if they're our family because we're under deadlines. We're under deadlines. We've got to get this money moved because unless, as Steve calls it, being properly positioned, they're going to be losing $7,000 to $9,000 a month. Whew. And that's why Tammy, Tammy, she loves me, but almost the producer loves me too much. Tammy, let me get into it a little bit. Thank you. Bring camera 5 in tight. Thank you. Okay, so what happened, John, I'm right here, eyes up here.
I'm listening. Believe me.
Okay, so what we do is we're offering workshops next Monday night, 6 p.m. at the 4 Points by Sheraton on Crittenden Drive. Steve Langdon's thrilled us to be able to come back and be our guest speaker on the legal component of what we can do to protect assets so they don't go broke in a nursing home. And then Tuesday at Indiana at 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn on Broadway off Veterans Parkway. So we always want people to come out. It's a free workshop. Don't go broke in a nursing home. It's a free consultation. It's a free meeting. Come out and learn because it's never too late to protect those assets. All right,
you talked about financial strategies and, of course, with Steve here, legal strategies. So to that point, and the reason Steve is here, you always tell me, you say, if I sit down with a new client, there's one critical question.
There is.
And that is?
That is, I always ask families, do you have a power of attorney? Do you have a power of attorney? And more often than I would like, the answer is no. And I'm always stunned by this. I've got people that have been married 48 years and they don't have a power of attorney.
And the importance of that, Steve, can you address that? Why is that so important?
You've got to be able to help your loved one legally, whether it's talking to banks or insurance companies or the government itself. The only way to do that legally for your spouse is to have that power of attorney. And so many people either don't have it or they have one that was drawn up, but it was drawn up by the family law attorney down the street. It's just not the right thing. You've got to go to somebody who works in the nursing home field, the Medicaid field, and that's all they do.
Okay, power of attorney important, but it's also important to be proactive. Maybe you're watching and you're going, when should I start talking to elder advisors? When should I come to them and talk to some professionals about this transition? Sooner the better, right?
Right, and Tammy wanted me to give a shout out to the seasoned citizens at First Virginia Avenue Baptist Church. We had a great luncheon event there today. They love you, John. I mean, it was really kind of sad. How many people know John Ramsey and the whole hand chorus, right? People are clapping. I mean, it's just a cavalcade for John Ramsey.
I'm not buying it, but that's okay. That's okay.
They love you. Yeah. And Luann and LaGrange, the nurse who's probably watching right now. One thing, seriously, that Wave 3 has really done for our business model is it's really extended the brand. People know us. They say, we saw you on Wave 3, John Ramsey and stuff like that. I've now really started to lose count. I've lost count seriously of the referrals and people that have come in because of your show and because of the reach it has for the community. And it has really been a great resource for our clients because that's the whole reason we're on the show today is because people are operating under the premise that nothing can be done. It's too late. I should have done it more than 5 years ago. And the reality is they don't have to.
It's not too late.
It's never too late.
But the sooner the better, wouldn't you say?
By far.
And so when you have someone approach you, what is the typical scenario? Is it someone who's in a crisis situation or is it someone who's smart enough to say, let's get in front of this?
Well, let's talk about the road trip. Because this is a great segue because this really, you know, I tell people that it's so important that you work with the right attorney. Not all attorneys do elder law defined as Medicaid asset protection. You know, it's much more than an attorney just drafting a will or whatever like that. I mean, this is high speed, it's high intense, it's at the L&M building on Broadway, you're fighting with the state. Steve is a litigator, he argues in both federal and state court, both sides of the river, and that's the attorney you need if you're going to go to bat for a family and protect a lifetime of assets, because the state of Indiana and Kentucky is always predisposed to deny an application.
So road trip.
Road trip. Family came in, and of course I asked the question, do you have power of attorney? She said no. And so I'm really kind of stuck now, because, you know, her name was on the one account, but not for the house and stuff like this. And Steve happened to be at that meeting. It was a free consultation because they were at our workshop last month. And, you know, we're kind of back and forth, and Steve was suggesting maybe coordinate with the attorney down there. And then out of the blue, Steve stunned me by suggesting,
Well,
Mr. Langdon.
why don't I just go down there and visit?
You
Yeah,
went
absolutely.
on a
It was like a
road trip.
3-hour
It's a
drive.
3-hour drive.
One way.
Man, that's someone who really genuinely cares. There's a reason you feel that way. You've been in the situation.
I've been there.
Yes.
And you could just see this client, just the weight of the world was on her
Yeah,
shoulders.
the daughter.
The daughter. And she wanted to do everything she could to help her mother, but she has siblings as well. And, you know, it's just hard. That inter-family, you know, discipline there, trying to get this done was just tough. And if I could volunteer to take a drive one afternoon and see if I could help, I was more than happy to do it. It took the weight of the world off her shoulders.
Wow.
Yeah, I was stunned. I was, you know, I'd not
There's
seen
commitment,
it.
and then
Yeah.
there's a 3-hour road trip one way.
Which the sad thing is, you know, shame on mom for not already having a power of attorney. You know, the family should not have to wait. I mean, it's not the 11th hour, it's the 12th hour. It's high noon. Okay, Gary Cooper's coming down. Okay, it is high noon. It is
Guns
go time.
a-blazing.
Guns a-blazing, and she should have had that power of attorney years ago. And for the daughter to be just stressed out, I mean,
That was bad.
very bad, very stressed out, and no power of attorney. Mom was being very obstinate, you know, because it's all about control. You know, the only thing in her mind she controls is that checkbook now for her. And shame on mom and perhaps others out there in Kentucky that don't already have this done, that haven't already had the opportunity to sit down with Steve Langdon and draft a pre-planned estate plan to avoid these problems from happening. So, you know, the daughter should not have to take the attorney 3 hours one way. I don't even know where you went. God's country, Kentucky?
I'm not even sure where I was.
Yeah, it was Greenville.
That's
Greenville,
right.
Kentucky.
Wow.
I didn't know there was a Greenville, Kentucky. My brother lives in Greenville, Indiana. No, Greenwood. There's a Greenville, Indiana.
You're a good man, Steve Langdon.
Yeah.
No,
Phenomenal.
look, she
You're
needed
not,
it.
not only overly qualified, which you are, you're a very intelligent guy, but the fact that you're compassionate too. In fact, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to hear more about his personal story and why he's so committed. Also, we're going to talk about the workshop, so grab a pen. Workshop's on the way. Again, elder advisors, don't go broke in a nursing home.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. We'll be back after these. Elder advisors, don't go broke in a nursing home. Let's talk workshops. You know, the show, sadly, we have limited time here, but if you have questions, if you have things you'd like to address, these workshops are the perfect answer.
It is. It's a perfect venue for a community to come out. We're doing it next Monday night at the 4 Points by Sheraton on Crittenden Drive, right off exit 132, off of 65. Thank you, Tammy. You were late on that panel. You want to pull up panel 5, which will be Indiana. For the Indiana community, we're doing Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn on Broadway, off Veterans Parkway. So we're really trying to get out to the community because all too often families are operating under barbershop law or beauty shop law, where they're getting all their helpful information from Barb at the beauty shop or Bob at the beauty shop or at the barber shop, and it's not working. It gets them in trouble. It's well-intentioned, but it's wrong. So come out, listen to the experts, listen to Mr. Lang giving the legal advice, the acumen of what we need to do to protect those assets so they don't go broken in a nursing home. Because again, remember, for husband and wife, there's special exceptions, as Steve likes to call, we can protect all the assets. They don't have to spend all this money now. If it's a single person, we can protect half of the assets, so they don't have to go broken in a nursing home. But the thing is, Steve is a person. He's a great person. He has people skills, which most people don't have. Okay.
Well, and the compassion does.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Very accomplished attorney. You've talked about
Yeah.
that. But you were saying for the position that he has with elder advisors, it's kind of been developed, right?
Right. You know, and Steve, he works with McNeely Stevenson Law Firm. That's his law firm. He's the attorney. He's the one that we refer our clients to on there. But the thing is, not all attorneys are equal, and I dare say that to become what I think is a Medicaid elder law attorney, it's not. It doesn't happen. It's developed over time, and that's really where Steve has really kind of found his niche. I think, isn't that a fair statement?
I have. I'm very, very blessed to be doing what I'm doing. And it's, you know, I think to do this job well, it can't just be your profession. It's got to be your calling. And I fell into this. I fell into this because I went through a situation with a family member who ended up as a result of a brain tumor in a nursing home, and my brother lost everything. And he didn't have to. I could have, if I had known then what I know now, could have saved his house, could have saved the contents of the house, could have saved quite a bit of the money. That
You saw the bad scenario that happens.
Yeah.
That happens.
Couldn't be any worse. Couldn't be any worse. And so I dove right into this and have been doing this work ever since. And like I said, it's a calling. When that young lady was there at the office and the weight of the world's on her shoulders, if all it takes for me is to take a 3-hour drive to sit down and chat with mom for a half an hour or 45 minutes, I'm happy to do it.
Wow.
Yeah, kudos to Steve Langdon, McNeely
Yeah.
Stevenson. That was phenomenal.
Yeah. Knowledge is power, and that's what it's about, because there are ways, but there are rules. And if you don't know the rules, you can't play the game.
Yeah, don't listen to Bob at Barbershop Law, because that's not going to work. That's why we do the workshops. We've got ours coming up this Monday night, 6 o'clock at the 4 Points by Sheraton. It's a free workshop. People will be in and out in about 90 minutes. It's fast-paced, and they might learn some, and they're probably going to be entertained by Larry Weiss, Reform comic. And then for the Indiana people, you know, that hurts me, John Ramsey of Way 3 Listens Live. I was being very serious and heartfelt, and I was being very open with you. You were laughing at me and not with me.
I do think there is entertainment value, and I think that's important, because if you go to these seminars, I mean, information is good, but you want it delivered in an entertaining way so that you don't fall asleep.
Yeah. No, that does not happen.
No.
And then, of course, for Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. And the funny thing is, you know, I tell people to workshop, folks, is it okay if we have fun? You know, I kind of get everybody's permission. If I don't have permission, I'm going to do it anyway. But I ask them. It's obligatory. But it is a stressful time, and people, for the most part, except for that one guy that's been miserable his whole life, never going to be happy. I can't help him. But the other 98% of the people I'm concerned about, they like the levity. And I'm serious when I need to be.
Right. I know you are.
Okay, I'm serious when I need to be, but when it's just kind of general information, people, you know, they come in, they're stressed, they're crying and stuff like that, and then, you know, people are talking, we're silly, we can have a little fun, it kind of breaks the ice and it kind of gets things moving.
Yeah, and when the questions get serious, I've seen you. You get serious. It's kind of like
don't make me dial down on you, John Ramsey.
That's right. Don't make that. It's kind of like I remember when Kevin Harnett. I had him on the show often, and he'll come on, and boy, when bad weather breaks out, you don't want to be around Kevin because it's his job. He's serious about it, and as you should be.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about financial strategies. Steve, you work in tandem with financial experts, with elder advisors as well. This works out fantastic, because then it's like you can cut through a lot of red tape, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Look, I talked to somebody this past week whose father-in-law had blown through over $400,000 in cash because his wife was in a nursing home. We could have saved all of that, could have saved every bit of it. Now, unfortunately, this father-in-law also has to go to a nursing home, and there's no money to pay for it. And so they came back to me finally, we're going to get this done, we're going to get them in there, we're going to take care of them.
Don't go broke in a nursing home. That kind of says it all, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, it really does.
And the thing is with the financial, there are attorneys out there that do this or try to do it or whatever, but rarely do they engage a financial component. And I'm telling you, dollars to donuts, when a financial component is not utilized, it's costing the family money. It's costing the family money because there are concepts and strategies designed to work with the legal component that Steve Langdon does, so families can keep all of their assets for a husband and wife, or a single person can keep half. So what I've found in the community is when an attorney is just doing this on their own, or someone is just doing it, they're leaving money on the table and just not doing what needs to be best for the family if they're not engaging a financial component. Steve doesn't do the financial. I certainly don't do the legal. Is that a fair overview?
That's a fair statement.
Yeah.
That's a fair statement.
And he understands that, and he's argued that with the state. No, the federal rules allow you can do X, Y, and Z. Because he doesn't take no for an answer. He moves on. He holds the state to task because the rules allow for that. But sometimes you have to take the state to task.
And you have to. You have to hold the state accountable to the rules they created.
Right.
Have to hold them accountable. And they're, unfortunately, I've got a litigation background. A lot of attorneys that do what I do don't have that same background.
No.
So they're not as comfortable going in front of those courts and making those arguments.
There we go.
Right.
Suffice to say, elder advisors is a smart call. You're going to put much more money in your pocket, keep it in your pocket.
Right.
And as you said, protect your assets. Power of attorney, we talked about the importance of that a lot. So if someone does have power of attorney, how much easier is your job, Steve?
Oh, it makes it all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. If you don't have it, we got to go to court. We don't want to go to court. That just takes time, money, and if you're involved in somebody like me, if you're involved in an attorney, please, nobody wants to. I don't like going to the dentist. Nobody likes coming to see the attorney. I understand it. I get it. Get the power of attorney. Get it done. Avoid that courtroom process.
The right kind of power of attorney, I might add. The right kind. Steve's is phenomenal because, I mean, if there could be a kitchen sink put in there, it would be in there because it's quite inclusive, it's quite extensive. Because of some of the pitfalls I've encountered on a financial level, he has now, he's kind of learned from that. So that type of language and issues are adopted in his legal documents. So we can anticipate these type of problems so we don't have the pushback from the banks, the insurance companies, and stuff like that.
Experience means everything. Is there anyone who does what Elder Advisors does?
We have no competition. We are the competition, Kentuckiana. Right there, camera one. We are the competition. They feel our heat.
They feel the heat.
They feel the heat.
All right, if you have questions, and you may, or if you don't want to go
Call
broke
us
in
for
a
a free
nursing home,
consultation.
Call for a free consultation, and let's put up the workshop days again. If you would, invite everyone out, Larry.
Thank you, John Ramsey. Wave 3 Listens Live. Co-host Larry Weiss, Elder Advisors. Monday, 6 p.m., 4 Points by Sheraton on Crittenden Drive, right off exit 132 on 65. And for the Indiana folk, 10 a.m. Tuesday morning at the Hampton Inn on Broadway off Veterans Parkway. Don't go broke in a nursing home. It's never too late, Kentuckiana. Come out to the workshops. You're going to learn. You may even be entertained, but it is worth your time.
Yep. And you'll also see all this handsomeness in
He is
person.
beautiful. You know what?
I
In
think
real
he was
life,
talking to me.
Both of you. It's incredible.
I'm much taller in television.
Again, Elder Advisors, don't go broke in a nursing home.
Now, you're watching Wave 3 News Listens Live
And it is a celebration.
with your host, John Ramsey.
And welcome into the Monday edition of Wave 3 Listens Live. Hope you had a fantastic weekend, a great Father's Day. We have some good information for you today. Speaking of dad or perhaps mom, don't go broke in a nursing home. That's what it's all about. Don't do it. That's what it's all about. With me now is the founder of Elder Advisors, and that is Larry Weiss, who is with us once again. We're going to talk about what happens in a workshop. We're going to talk about your questions. In fact, today Larry has allowed me to open up the phone lines, 571-5263. If you have any questions about that transition from whether it be assisted living or
Absolutely.
long-term care,
Right.
then you're the man to
I am
ask
the man,
questions.
John. Thank you for saying so. For all of Kentuckiana here at Wave 3 Listens Live, don't go broke in a nursing home, John.
That's
You don't
exactly
have
what-
to do it. I don't want you to do it. You don't have to do it.
No, you don't have to do it. And in fact, what I love about what you do at Elder Advisors, there is no one else like them. And the reason being is it's turnkey. It's every question you could have, whether it be legal strategies, whether it be financial strategies, whatever the case may be, you guys can help. And there are a lot of moving parts. I think sometimes people assume, well, when I get to that, I'll be okay.
Right.
You really do have to be proactive.
You
It's
do.
important, isn't
You
it?
do,
Yes.
absolutely. And I was meeting a lady this morning at 9 o'clock where it's more of a pre-crisis plan. Mom is home, but she's just not really doing too well. So we're already kind of mapping out some financial issues to address. And of course, for financial, often there's a tax question. And I kind of pointed over to my cabinet with all the different cards, and I said, that's why there's a CPA. You know, Doug York from Rutherford Moss has been on the show, the CPA. I said, these questions you're asking are tax questions. When we get to that point, I'm going to send you to Rutherford Moss for the tax questions. She was talking about home health care. I said, that's going to be Nancy Galloway at Senior Helpers. I was pointing to her brochure. When we get to legal, that's always going to be Steve Langdon and Neely Stevenson. But for right now, we're just going to do some basic financials because there's always going to be a financial component, or almost always a financial component, to protect those assets so families don't go broke in a nursing home. That's why we're doing the workshops tonight. We're excited. The calls have really been tremendous this morning and over the weekend. We're doing our workshop tonight at the 4 Points by Sheraton on Crittenden Drive at 6 o'clock. It's a free workshop. Come out, have fun. Thank you, Tammy. And she's the producer of the show, by the way, John Ramsey.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
Thank you, Larry.
well, John, you know, my shoulders are bent over because I'm carrying the weight of this show right now. But anyway, 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn at Clarksville on Broadway off Veterans Parkway. Don't go broke in a nursing home. You don't have to, because the reality is for husbands and wives, Steve Langdon, the attorney, likes to call it special exceptions. We can protect all the assets for a husband and wife if one spouse goes into a nursing home. For a single person, we can protect about half of those assets, even if they're in a nursing home. Well, half of something's better than all of nothing. And that's what we do, but you have to do it the right way. The biggest problem we have is complacency, or people are operating off a barbershop law or beauty shop law, things that they've been told to barbershop. It's well-intentioned, but it's almost always wrong, John. You don't have to do the silly things that people are told time and time again at the barbershop or at the beauty shop. Do it the correct way. Listen to Mr. Langdon. That's why the workshops are so important. Because the other thing is, first of all, you know, my publicist was supposed to take care of this. Excuse me, John. My publicist put down there. I have to put a shout out because I'm telling you what, John, the community of Wave 3 Listens Live loves John Ramsey and Larry Weiss, by the way, right here. Okay, I have to give a shout out to the seasoned citizens at First Virginia Avenue Baptist Church. They love John Ramsey, but really love Larry Weiss.
Wow.
Love the show. I told them I'd give a shout out to the ladies there. I think Marilyn Johnson's my girl there. So they had me out last week. Loved them, had a great time. I think they're going to have me back in the fall. Don't forget to call Marilyn because I will come. There's the camera right there. You keep moving, I'll be there.
And I know why they love you. You know what is, to me,
I'm shy and introverted.
What I love about Elder Advisors is the fact that this isn't a topic that a lot of us are comfortable with. It's not something
Yeah.
we look forward to. We always
Yeah.
want to put it on the back burner. However, when something does happen, and hopefully you get in front of this prior to a crisis
for sure.
situation, but if you do not get in front of this, then you need someone, regardless, who knows the answers, because there's so many moving pieces and different laws,
Right.
Medicare, Medicaid, whatever, and then also the financial strategies as
Absolutely.
well. All of that is takes place.
Absolutely.
And you keep putting off. You go, oh, you know, mom and dad are great. You know, she's Superwoman and he's Superman. But, you know, that's not reality.
It's not reality. I'll have people that have been married 47 years, and I'll ask them, do you have a power of attorney for mom and dad? You know, and of course I do the financial, I don't do the legal. Mr. Langdon McNeely Stevenson does the legal, and they go, well, no, we're going to wait till we need it. I'm like, folks, you don't understand it. The time you need it, you can't get it.
That's right. Yeah, if
You know.
something happens, God forbid.
Oh, it's terrible.
We don't want that to happen, but if something happens where mom or dad can't respond and can't give you power of attorney,
Right.
then you're going through this long process that's not needed. This really helps cut to the chase.
It
correct?
does. And last week when Steve was able to be on the show, we were talking about the fact that he went above and beyond the call of duty. He drove 3 hours one way, or 2.5 hours, to Greenville, Kentucky to get mom, to help with the family, for mom to sign a power of attorney. And my thought is, I'm glad that it happened, but shame on mom, because they shouldn't have had to wait that long to do that. But Steve made it happen, and kudos to Steve Langdon, McNeely Stevenson. But that's the type of skill set that we bring to the table.
That brings an interesting question, though. Who is the onus on? I mean, is it on mom or dad to say, hey, I need one of my children to, I need to grant them power of attorney, or is it maybe the matriarch or patriarch of the children to take over that
Well,
responsibility?
it usually falls to the child that's kind of self-appointed to do it. In this case, it was a daughter, and it was very stressful for her. And that's the kind of onus that the parents impose on the families when they don't step up and do a basic planning
Right.
tool. That's what Mr. Langdon talks about at the workshop. And you know, it's a free workshop tonight. It's at 4 Points by Sheraton on Crenton Drive at 6 o'clock. Tammy, you're on fire with those panels. Thank you very much, Tammy. So we're doing that tonight at 6 o'clock at the 4 Points by Sheraton. And then tomorrow at Indiana at 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn on Broadway, just off Veterans Parkway. And what we end up doing at the end of the workshops is we will schedule private free consultations for families. And families will come in, and sometimes they're there for a few minutes, which is a segue to my New Haven twins. I've got two brothers, they're identical, and they're not really, but we call them the New Haven twins, right? And they came to workshop literally 2-3 years ago. And this is really a testament to Steve Langdon, because we spend time, what I find is most people talk at people, but not to them, and much less listen. Steve listened to the brothers. There wasn't a lot of money, and Steve did some basic legal work, kind of got some stuff taken care of, got mom on Medicaid. That was 3 years ago. They called out of the blue. There we are at the workshop. Is Mr. Weiss the most dynamic, beautiful man you've ever seen, John Ramsey? I'm not putting you on the spot.
I will say this, loaded with great information, and he delivers it in an entertaining way. Is that okay? Does that work? You
Yeah,
do.
yeah, that's good enough,
These
John.
seminars can be boring.
They are
can
boring,
be.
but
this
they're-
one is not.
It is not. It's tough stuff. And there's Mr. Langdon, McNeely Stevenson, Denise Manicky, my business partner. Denise's skill set's a former 10-year Medicaid supervisor of the state of Kentucky. Kentuckiana, come out to the workshops tonight. It's a lot of fun. You're going to learn some things. And yeah, we do have fun. But don't mistake me for being silly, for being less an advocate for families, because you could not have. I'm the guy that meets people 7 o'clock at night. I'm the guy that meets families 10 o'clock Saturday morning, because no one else will do that. These families are stressed, they're the sandwich generation,
Sure.
they're working during the week. I accommodate their needs to get that schedule done, because otherwise they're burning through $7,000 to $8,000 a month, and they necessarily don't have to do that. They don't have to do that.
Let's talk a little bit about the topics that will be covered before we go to break. If you're interested in these workshops, and you should be,
Yes.
it isn't something everyone loves talking about,
No.
but it's something that's going to happen to probably about all of us.
It can at some point or another, yes.
Yeah, so with that being said, what topics will we cover? We talk about legal strategies.
Mr. Langdon certainly discusses legal strategies. He's the attorney dealing
All right.
with the legal component. We talk about pre-crisis planning, which is the lady this morning. Mom's at home. What can we do to maybe get some things lined up? That's pre-crisis planning. Man, I'm sorry, but that guy's just so easy to look at right now. I'm forgetting what I'm talking about. We got a signal from the producer right there. So then the other extreme is pre-planning. You know, I went through this 15 years ago with my parents. I don't want my kids to have to go through that. And there's certainly crisis planning. What happens when mom goes to the nursing home? And on the third segment today, I'm delighted to have the folks from Green Valley Nursing Home in Indiana come out, and they're going to talk about a nursing home, that it's actually a great place that cares for families, they care for the employees. There could not be a better place for families than Green Valley, because they are so representative of the care and the level of care they bring to families and helping them navigate these issues.
I'm looking forward to that. Part of the team. Green Valley
Absolutely,
Care Center, right
part of
now.
the team.
Yeah,
Part of the team.
experts in every category, and I'm telling you, if you have any questions today, 571-5263, whether it be about taxes, real estate, power of attorney, give Larry Weiss a call. I guarantee you, he knows the answer. Again, elder advisors don't go broke in a nursing home.
Don't do it, you don't have to.
Don't do it, you don't have to. We'll be right back with more on Wave 3 Listens Live. We'll meet you on the other side. Don't go broke in a nursing home. Elder Advisors Larry Weiss is with us once again, and we're talking about your questions, 571-5263. If you have a question, Larry, we had someone who called in and was curious about how far do the Elder Advisors tentacles go? How far do you reach? Can you serve all of Indiana, all of Kentucky?
We pretty much work, I mean, obviously the metropolitan community of Louisville, Kentuckiana is our bread and butter. It's where we live every day. But we go throughout the state of Kentucky and the state of Indiana to file for Medicaid benefits for families. I think 2 weeks ago, Denise and I drove up to Carmel, Indiana, Westfield, Indiana, and went to a community up there to advise them we were filing for benefits. The family's still going to be paying, just to kind of let them know. Because what I find is, for nursing homes, there's really, on my business model, there's two things they really need to know. One, they want to make sure that the pay source are getting paid every month because they need to pay for the lights and stuff like that. That's important. And the other thing is simply what's going on with the application. We got notice from the state, there was a filing, what's going on. And oftentimes I find that everything just kind of goes into an abyss where no one knows anything. So that's the one thing that Denise really does such a great job is she's out in the community, she's going to the nursing homes because we want the bills paid. Usually I find the clients are doing what I suggest they need to do. I don't like to say tell them what to do, but what they need to do, pay the bills. We have to do it in a prescribed manner. Sometimes there's all kinds of different variables on what their level of income is and stuff like that. So I'm not going to get into that today for the television, but we want to make sure the bills are paid, and Denise is out there front and center to ensure that the family is paying the bill on time, doing it the correct way. And if they have questions about the status, we have an online website we can go on to and in real time give the business office managers the status on what's going on with what we've done and what the law firm has done. And we're committed to that because knowledge is power. We have to know what's going on at any time.
You will be amazed about how many of the assets you can keep.
For sure.
If you know how to play the game.
Well, and you know, it's just basically, it's like Steve, the attorney, Mr. Langdon at McNeely Stephen calls it, it's a special exceptions. You have to do it the correct way. Barbershop law says you have to sell the house, lose it. You don't have to do that. I mentioned several months ago when I had Keith Mull with Mull Title Services on here, a family was concerned about the farm. And this is a single case where not only were they able to keep the farm, but we got mom qualified for benefits and they kept the farm. But much like the Colonel, I'm not giving away my secret 11 herbs and recipes and spices today, much less on live television. But it can be done. Kentuckiana, don't prejudge your situation. It's never too late. I don't care what you've heard at the barbershop or at the beauty shop. It's well-intentioned, but it is not usually accurate. Well-intentioned, but it's not accurate. You don't have to lose everything. And it's never too late. If they're already paying $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a month for the nursing home, that's why they need to come to the workshops, because we can stop that hemorrhaging of cash. I can't prevent or stop what happened 6 months at the nursing home, but I can certainly capitalize on what they have now and prevent further loss.
Moving forward.
Moving forward, we can protect it. Again, for husband and wife, we can protect all the assets. For single, we can protect half the assets. That's why it's so important to take advantage of that free workshop tonight. Come out, take a benefit of the Mr. Langdon with Amelia Stevenson being out there, giving the legal perspective. We're doing it at the 4 Points tonight at 6 o'clock at the 4 Points by Sheraton on Crittenden Drive. And again, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn.
All right, let's try to grab a phone call here. We ask for calls, and we shall receive. Lee joins us now. Lee, welcome to the show. Thanks for watching. You have a question for Larry.
Yes, Larry, I understand everything that you're talking about with nursing homes and such, but what if they're not into that position yet? What about assisted living? You still have to pay for your assisted living, correct?
Well, absolutely. If they're in the assisted living, depending on their level of care, which obviously for the television time, we don't have time to get into that, but there are certainly things that we can do on a pre-crisis planning, which oftentimes assisted living is. If they're a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, we can help bring in income to help offset their out-of-pocket expense. If they're a resident of Indiana, oftentimes we can help them get the Medicaid waiver, but where Medicaid will pay for assisted living, you know, where Kentucky right now, it's pretty much next to impossible to qualify for, but we have a great deal of success helping families transition to assisted living where the state of Indiana Medicaid will pay for assisted living. And I do kind of take my hat off to Indiana with that, because I think at the end of the day, if a loved one gets to assisted living, oftentimes they can stabilize there and their level of care doesn't increase. If they get the social skill interaction, just a little physical therapy and just the family being more engaged so they don't degrade, because oftentimes families keep mom at home too long and the TV is not a good babysitter. It's not a good social skill activist, for the family. So there's a lot of things that can be done on the assisted living, either pre-planning for Kentucky or certainly in Indiana as well. Did that kind of answer your question, ma'am?
Wow.
All right, But actually, you do end up in Kentucky paying for the assisted living, right?
That is correct, but there are still financial things that we can do that conform to the rules. So again, don't misjudge that. Don't assume nothing can be done. That's why you need to come out to the workshop, because then we can kind of get into more specifics.
Yeah, like you said, limited time here.
Right.
I want to talk about the Green Valley Care Center. They're about to come up here.
Yeah.
That's important. This is another thing that you can help with, the right facility for mom or dad, right?
Absolutely. Denise really spends a lot of time with placement, because families are always concerned about where mom is going, where dad is going. And we have just had a tremendous blessing with Green Valley. They take our calls, they return our calls. They do a phenomenal job with the families. And I think it was in the last year that Green Valley received, a state award for excellence, 5-star rating. I'm sure they can come on and tell you a little bit more about that. But that's why I'm really glad that Green Valley is coming on, because, it's always kind of intimidating, kind of maybe a little scary about the nursing home and stuff like that. Look, these are beautiful people. Some of these people worked there 20, 30 years. They care. And that tells you a lot about the community, is the people are there. There's no turnover. They take care of the people. They take care of the families. They take care of mom and dad, and answer the family's questions.
That's one thing I can vouch for here, is the fact Larry Weiss, I know I've had enough conversations with you, and I've heard from people who've worked with you, also Steve Langdon, Denise Manicky, all of these folks. Compassion's important in this business, because sometimes it does go beyond 9 to 5.
Yeah, we don't give them a piece of paper and say, when you get it, come back and see me in 3 months. Well, now dad burned through $22,000. Completely unnecessary. We're going to hit the ground running. We always stay on top of things, because we treat them as if they were our parents or grandparents. There's an urgency here. We've got to get it done. We've got to get it done to preserve those assets.
Yep, don't wait any longer. You heard a couple of pieces of advice. One, get power of attorney. Secondly, attend one of these workshops. Let's put those on the screen once again. Some of the topics that'll be covered, well, just about everything, and you're open to questions too, right?
Yeah, the lady that called in was about assisted living. There are unique financial strategies that we can do to protect assets now, but certainly make sure that the bills are paid to assisted living, or if the veteran or a spouse of a veteran, we can bring in an attendance pension benefit, which will help offset their expenses anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000. You need to come out to the workshop. We can talk about that there tonight. We'll be talking about that tonight.
And if you're wondering about elder advisors, just saying, well, how do they get paid? Believe me, the money that you will save, the assets that you will be able to retain, are well worth the cost. We've heard that a number of times. So
if there is a fee, John.
Right, there you go.
The lady that came this morning, it's a pre-crisis plan. I'm just suggesting kind of doing this and doing that, and there actually is no fee. And like with the New Haven twins, they came in, we made as much time for them as we would anybody else. We scheduled free 1-hour consultations. Steve looked at it, looked at their legal documents, kind of pointed them in the right direction, didn't charge them anything. Well, now mom's inheriting $400,000. There's probably going to be a little fee now, but they can afford to do it out of the spend down, and we're helping them. Otherwise, they'll lose it all, and they don't have to do that.
That's right. Yeah, there are
it's a
strategies.
free workshop. Set your DVR, come out tonight. You'll learn something.
Believe me, if you do not, and I hate to even call it a game, if you don't know how to play by the rules.
Play by the rules.
If you can't play by the rules, then you can't win. Hold on to those assets.
Well, and the thing is, the problem is the government has their rule book, John. The families need their rule book. We help them devise their rule book so they can protect their assets and do it the correct way, because it's all about rules. Everything is disclosed to the state. Okay, the problem is the state of Indiana, state of Kentucky, they play by their rule book. Don't think they don't. Okay, the families, the lady that called, the other people that call and have concern, people that are calling now to come into the workshops, they need their rule book. Steve Langdon helps them develop a legal rule book. Elder Advisors helps them develop a financial rule book so they can protect those assets and give them peace of mind.
Yep, and hold on to the assets. To protect those assets. It is important. Okay, Green Valley Care Center, you've heard a lot about them. Marcy, Mark, they're going to join us here and we'll answer some questions. 571-5263. Larry Weiss, as you can tell, very passionate about what he does with Elder Advisors. We'll be back. The Green Valley Care Center, they are an important part of the team, and they join Larry Weiss with Elder Advisors. We're going to talk a little bit about their facility, how they work with Elder Advisors. With me now is Marcy Pittman. Marcy, welcome in.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Thank
Marcy is a customer care specialist at Green Valley, and then Mark Furman, who is the director of rehab services, right, Mark?
That's correct.
All right, welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk about the relationship first. Okay, Elder Advisors, how did this relationship form, and how do you kind of work into the puzzle that he puts together?
Well, I think as you would expect, everyone has to have a payer source to be able to stay there. Whether it's private pay or Medicaid or Medicare or insurance. Elder Advisors helps to get that straightened out for us so that we can have a smooth transition.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your mission there. What do you think makes you different, Marcy? If you had to talk about Green Valley and you're talking to people who are maybe interested in having mom or dad stay at your facility, what
I'm going to jump in and answer something here. What's really great with Marcy is, and this has probably been a year ago, I had a family call, and because they worked past 5 o'clock, or the family, Marcy came in on her own probably at 5:30 that night, met with the family, set it up, and then met the family at the facility, gave them a tour of the facility, and because answer questions I couldn't answer, what physical therapy options there are, Mark Furman.
Yep.
You're kind of like this. This is my love for John Ramsey because he knows how it works. I got some pocket change for you, Mark. But in any event, but yeah, they do a great job taking care of the families because the families start asking questions about physical therapy. Is Medicare going to pay for 20 days? How's 100 days work? I've heard this and that. I'm like, that's where I think Green Valley needs to come into play for that. So Marcy jumped on that, and we just kind of developed a relationship. They take our phone calls. Denise is always out trying to run checks, checking on the status of filings and stuff like that. And it's just become a great resource, much like Rodifer Moss on the accounting, Steve Langdon on the legal, senior helpers for home health care. I could go on and on. But when we were talking with my publicist, Garrett Moore, on the topics for today, I thought, I think Green Valley would be a great little segue here because they do a great job. And didn't you, in fact, get some award like last year from the state of Indiana? It was in the newspapers, in the Tribune.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Okay, so well, we were and your star rating is based on a lot of different things, your MDS assessments and things like that. We were a 5-star. I think we're like 4.5 now. I can't say for sure.
You're
so
number
there's
one
been
for
just,
me. Number one for me.
Yeah.
So, but it is based on like the care that you provide and the different MDSs, things like that.
So Mark, when you're working with elder advisors, we talk a lot about having...
Elder Advisors, the Steve
Advisors.
Langdon and McNeely
That's right.
Stevenson Law Firm.
we talk about having your estate in order, your assets in order. How important is that when they come to Green Valley?
Well, I mean, I think from a provider perspective, we treat every resident the same, no
And they
matter
do.
whether they're, we're getting reimbursed or not for that. We always try to picture every patient that we have as, our mother, our father, our grandmother, grandfather, and so, but it's as any business, you have to be able to.
So when a family is in crisis, so when an emergency comes up, and unfortunately this happens, whether they need rehab or whether they need long-term care, that they always ask the financial side of it because that's very important, and healthcare is not cheap. So if someone's coming into our care center for long-term care, you're going to go through what their insurance will do, but Medicare insurances, they don't pay for long-term care. They pay for rehab. It's more or less a short-term insurance to try to get them back home. If that doesn't happen, then they have to go into a Medicaid application. It's at that point that you have to start digging a little deeper, asking a lot more questions, and sometimes we need help. It's more than we can do.
That's right, and that's where elder advisors come in.
That's where we come
right.
into play. And the other thing is, with Mark, to sing his credit, he's probably the last person at Green Valley that knows who the pay source is, what's going on. That's not his job.
Yep.
His is rehab, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
His job is taking care of the patient, doing that rehab. Marcy's probably going to be a little more conversant with the financials because she works at the front. But that's the thing, the same level of care, the same amount of love that they bestow on the clients and the patients is the same that they do in the rehab because they're not paying attention to who's paying, not paying, whatever.
Right.
That's not his job. And first of all, I have to say hi to Katrina. Is Katrina at reception at Green Valley? And Tanya, love Tanya. And of course, Blossom, love Blossom. Those are my main peeps. Not to take anything away from the other peeps. And of course, Marcy. And okay.
But the fact that your title exists, Customer Care Specialist, I think speaks volumes there. So for those who'd like to maybe tour Green Valley, the Green Valley Care Center, what do they need to do, Marcy?
They are welcome to tour anytime. They can give me a call, we'll schedule something. If I can find out what they're needing, then I kind of know how to lead my tour. We can do just an overall tour.
Or you can go out, and sometimes they need a home assessment before it even gets there, I think. Is that a fair statement?
If someone is admitting from home, we do a lot of times go see this person at home just to, we always do a clinical assessment, and then there's always a financial. But yes, we can go to their home, and I have went to people's home to meet with them for paperwork or just to speak with a wife that can't drive and can't make it there. I mean, whatever needs done, we make it work.
And I would encourage families that are in that situation, because one of the big hurdles that families have emotionally is if mom or dad is still at home. And they're not being dictated by circumstances. Well, they went to the hospital and the hospital discharged them to XYZ rehab. It's already happened, but sometimes the family, to their credit, is trying to stay ahead of the curve. They're trying to stay ahead of that next fall because they know when mom falls, she's going to break a hip. And they don't know where to go. They don't know what questions to ask. So I would encourage the viewers, if you're interested in knowing more about options of placement or things like that, they can certainly call you and you go out and visit with the family. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely.
Yes, they can call, and I do encourage families to tour these facilities. So
Of course.
pay attention to how the employees are interacting with the residents that are in that facility. Pay attention to the cleanliness of the building and look at the activity schedule and see what kind of quality of life they are providing to these residents in their building.
All right.
And they can tour anytime we work. I mean, weekends we'll go in, we'll do tours, whatever we need to do.
They do a phenomenal job for their families.
We've got to jump into break, but coming back,
Workshops.
we're going to show you the workshop. When we come back here, and we'll talk about the common thread that exists at Elder Advisors. We'll talk about that next on Wave 3 Listens. There's the workshop. Marcy, tell us about levels of care at Green Valley.
At Green Valley Care Center, we do have a new rehab gym with 18 new private suites in a separate part of the building where we do our rehab to home, and then also we can do outpatient therapy. We have a memory care unit, specializes in Alzheimer's and dementia care, and of course we do long-term care as well.
All right. There
Louisville, Kentuckiana, don't go broke in a nursing home. Come out tonight, 6 o'clock at the 4 Points by Sheraton on Crittenden. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn. Don't go broke in a nursing home. It's never too late. Come out tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.
There's the new host of the show right there, Larry.
Wave 3 Listens Live with John Ramsey.
Larry Weiss is here. He is the president and owner of Elder Advisors. Larry, welcome back. You look good in pink, my man.
John, I feel just revitalized being in your presence. You know, when I came into the building, I really felt kind of downtrodden. I wanted to take a nap. Barb was at reception. She almost didn't let me in the door, you know, the lock thing and everything. But now that I'm in your presence, I am revitalized with love for Wave 3.
We've got this mojo going. Because,
Baby, it is mojo.
because we know what you do. We know how it works, and you should too. Don't go broke in a nursing home.
Don't do it.
That may be a fear of yours, and it is about knowing strategies.
It is, John.
Knowledge is power.
Right.
Tell them exactly what Elder Advisors does, Larry.
John, what Elder Advisors does is we help families transition their loved ones from their homes to home health care, assisted living, or long-term care using financial and legal strategies to protect assets so they don't go broke in a nursing home. Because the reality is you don't. I've been doing this now 24 years. July marks our 24th year of helping families protect assets so they don't go broke in a nursing home. Because often people are just misguided, they're distraught, they just throw their hands up that nothing can be done, and so much can be done. So what we try to do is convey with families, you know, we have workshops coming up in a couple weeks, but it's never too late. Come and talk to us. We have 3 offices, Salem, New Albany, Louisville. Sit down for a free consultation. Call us, reach out to the website, because so much can be done, but they have to pick up the phone call or send an email. We can help.
Yeah, and you always encourage to be proactive, because sometimes when you get in emergency mode, it's not too late. You can still help.
It is
but
never
if you
too
get in
late.
front of it, it's a lot easier.
Absolutely.
So tell me about why that's important.
Well, what's important is, you know, for example, if, you know, I have State Farm homeowners insurance. Now, the likelihood of ever there being a claim or a fire or something is quite low, knock on wood, but I would never think not to carry my homeowners and pay my $1,500 a year. Well, if I didn't have my homeowners insurance and the house is burning down and I call State Farm, I call Bob Bittner in New Albany, hey Bob, can I reinstate mine? That's not going to happen. Too late. But in the context of nursing home issues where people are spending down, going broke, we can still help them. We can still save the family farm. We can still protect assets. It's never too late. Because all too often people are being navigated by barbershop law. It's well-intentioned, but it's almost always wrong. Because barbershop law is telling families there's nothing can be done, you know, you should have done it more than 5 years ago, this gobbledygook stuff, and so families do nothing. They analyze till they paralyze. And nothing is done, and they're going through $7,000 to $8,000 a month. They don't have to do that.
We talk about the importance of knowledge. You can't play the game if you don't know the rules.
Right.
If you do know the rules, you can protect assets.
Absolutely.
Right?
Know one thing and do it well. This is what Elder Advisors does, is we help families protect assets. Families like Luann in LaGrange, she loves me, but I think she really loves you, John Ramsey. Hi, Luann, I told you to give you the shout out, baby. And Judy from yesterday, Judy loves you. Judy loves you
more.
like this. I love you more than Judy, but
Thank you.
Luann loves you more than all of us.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Luann and LaGrange.
Putting
I
it
wasn't
together.
supposed to say the first name, but it's Luann and LaGrange.
Okay.
Can you tell I love what I do, Kentuckiana? Love it.
All right. Tell us about the power of attorney and why it's important, because I know that's something that's critical in your business.
It is, and of course, Steve Langdon at McNeely Stevenson Law Firm is always the centerpiece of this type of construct, because we need the building blocks. When families sit down with me, one of the first questions I say, and by the way, you're a pretty good moderator. You're doing a pretty good job, because you're asking a killer question, John Ramsey.
Thank you very much.
You know, Michael in the lobby was like, I think John's off his game now. I think he's not doing too good. Well, Michael, John Ramsey is on fire.
He's back.
You're back, baby. You're asking top-notch questions, because the tool for planning is always going to be a power of attorney. I don't do legal. I'm not an attorney, but I'll sit down with families. If they don't have a power of attorney, I'm going to send them to Steve Langdon and Neely Stevenson, because now we have the keys that we can access these different assets to protect those assets. Because Kentuckiana, for husband and wife, we can protect all of the assets. If one spouse goes in, we can protect all the assets. I don't care if they're in a nursing home. It's never too late. For a single person, we can protect about half the assets. Well, half of something is better than all of nothing.
All right.
So it starts with a phone call. Reach out to us, 855-LARRY55, elderadvisors.com, baby. Reach out to us. We can help. It's never too late. And I know I am amped up. I love what I do. But who would you rather work with? Someone who has a love for life, I'm living, I'm not existing, or someone that comes into the room, they're morose, their pants are pulled
Right,
up.
no.
Oh, hey, look. And you're already falling asleep, and you're already looking at your watch because you want to get out of the meeting because the guy's an idiot.
You are passionate about what you do.
I love it.
And these workshops are not only educational, but they're entertaining because of Larry Weiss. 571-5263. We do have a phone call. Wayne is joining us now. Wayne, welcome into Wave 3 Listens. Thanks for watching.
Hey, I just wanted to let everybody know that we had a meeting with Larry yesterday. He may be a little over the top on TV, but I'll tell you what, he takes care of his clients like they're honestly family. I think he knows what I might be referring to, but yesterday he took care of us great. And the lawyers at Neely Stevenson he works with, they're awesome too. I wouldn't hesitate. Matter of fact, I have recommended a lot of people to Larry because you don't need to go broke in a nursing home. Larry helped us keep from being homeless, my brother and I. He's like I said, he may be a little over the top for some people, but he's genuine and he's 100% legitimate.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
for the
you,
call,
Wayne. Wow,
Wayne.
that was very nice.
Well, that's a great testimonial. And it's not only about protecting assets and strategies, but it's also about compassion and peace of mind. And
It
that's,
is.
I would like to be able not to worry about mom, dad, or grandpa, grandmother, because when you have peace of mind, you know what you're doing is correct. You're playing by the rules and you're saving assets.
Right.
It's like, oh, thank you. And you really do care.
I do.
know
We
you
take
do.
that stress off the shoulders because, with this particular family, they were literally afraid they were going to lose their home. And kudos to Steve Langdon and Neely Stevenson, because there we definitely need a legal component, because I'm not an attorney. I don't do the legal stuff.
Surround yourself with smart people.
Absolutely. And Steve is the best at what he does. And the other thing with Steve is, oftentimes people are talked at and not to, and they're not listened to. Steve did a phenomenal job with this family, where I can tell you, everybody else dismissed this situation. Nothing can be done. You're going to get kicked out. Nursing was going to take the house. Steve actually spent the time to sit down with these brothers and listen to what it was. And it was actually a very easy fix, actually. But Steve spent the time to talk to them. It wasn't dismissive, oh, nothing can be done, and kicked them out or whatever. So kudos to Steve Langdon and Neely Stevenson, because he was really the centerpiece of this particular project with this family. They called in. Thank you very much, Wayne. That was very nice, very gracious.
Before we let you go, I have to ask about G.I. Joe, who's to our left, a very special guest, G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe, baby.
Why is G.I. Joe present?
There. Advance and be recognized.
What was that, Joe?
Position secure.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Joe. We're actually doing our sixth annual Kentuckiana G.I. Joe Toy Show Saturday morning at the Hilton Garden Inn off Crittenden Drive from 9 to 4. I do work pretty much 23 hours a day, but that 1 hour, I got my toy collection. So Steve Stovall, a friend of mine, we're the promoters of the show. We've got 2 of the 3 ballrooms booked. They're full. I don't know, about 100 tables. We have a friend in the audience. He's kind of got a secret crush on me, but he came up from Dallas, Texas. He said for the show, but I think he's got a crush on me. But he came up. We got guys literally from all over the country coming in for the toy show. So if you want to relive your childhood, come out to Hilton Garden Inn Saturday morning.
G.I. Joe. I mean, G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip,
Yep.
G.I. Joe with lifelike hair.
G.I. Joe, U.S. Army, reporting for duty.
Don't mess with the man, John.
That's right, talking G.I. Joe.
Talking G.I. Joe.
All right, so Larry, again, thank you so much. Don't go broke in a nursing
Don't
home.
do it.
Get in front of it, power of attorney, and talk to Larry Weiss, because you can protect your assets. Don't go broke in a nursing home. That's what Elder Advisors is all about. Larry Weiss is with us once again. And I think people need to understand it's a little bit more complex than you may know. There are laws involved, insurance involved, legal parts of it, real estate. There's all kind of components. And really, Larry, Elder Advisors, you're really your only competition. There is no competition.
John,
is there?
please. How many times I got to keep telling you this, John? We have no competition. Wait for it, Kentuckiana. We are the competition. They feel the heat.
They do feel the heat, because you can do so many things. Some people may have, maybe elder law. They've got an expertise
That would
there.
be done by attorneys,
There you
which
go.
I'm not an attorney.
Someone else might say, you know what, I know about the insurance, the in and outs, and I can help you with that.
Right.
But at one-stop shopping, you can take care of everything with Elder Advisors.
Absolutely. And just a quick segue, I bumped into a stockbroker about 2 weeks ago, and he kind of knows what it is, so we were talking, and he does the stockbroker stuff, tries to help families make money, hold on to wealth and stuff like that. And I won't get into the details, but after 30 seconds, I could tell he knew about as much about crisis planning, nursing home asset protection as a newborn baby. He knew nothing about it. But he's out there working with clients, giving him his best advice, and that's great if you're trying to amass wealth. But, you know, if you need brain surgery, you go see a brain surgeon. You don't go see a podiatrist. So that's why, you know, we really enjoy what we do, because we have a skill set where we surround ourselves with top talent. So what Elder Advisors does, we've started our 24th year now doing this. Right. And by the way, the previous segment with Ashley Furniture was phenomenal. And John, as good looking as you look right now, you are not capable of waking up and having a bad day, baby. I don't believe it. Kentuckiana, this man cannot have a bad day. He's drop dead gorgeous. Come on, John.
Yeah, all right now. I love this, but I also love the fact that you are offering workshops.
We are doing the workshops.
Yeah, because knowledge is power.
Knowledge is part of the right knowledge, because so many people are getting the information from what we now call the barbershop law or beauty shop law. They're getting well-intentioned but completely wrong information. They're being told things like, you have to sign the house over to your kids. You have to give your house away to protect it. You have to give all your money away. It's too late if they're in a nursing home. You can't protect assets if they're in a nursing home. All that is completely wrong. That's why we're doing the workshops. Tammy, you're late on camera 3, bring it in tight. Tammy, yes. So we're doing the workshops. We're here promoting our monthly workshops. Monday, August 5th, 6 o'clock at the 4 Points by Sheraton. And Tuesday morning in Indiana at the Hampton Inn on Broadway off Veterans Parkway for families to come out. And I will tell you, we started for the first time in June because we took July off. We're kind of starting to unofficially turn people away at the workshops because we only have seating for 50 people. And no one wants to stand in the back wall, so they're going to kind of be there about 5:30 now to get in. So we make ourselves available. They can go to the website, elderadvisors.com, baby, and find out the workshop dates. But it's worth your time to come out because it is never too late, Kentuckiana. Don't go off what your friends are telling you. It's never too late. We help families all day long. I'm meeting a lady today at 2 o'clock. She's coming down from Madison. She had to place her husband out of town. But even at this late crisis plan, we're protecting assets. And the other thing we're doing is we're taking the stress off her shoulders because it is such a weight. Certainly there's a financial component because for husbands and wives, we can protect all the assets, John. Can I call you John?
Sure.
I feel like I've been around long enough.
Yes.
And speaking of which, you know, after the show last week, you gave me your cell number. And I thought, man, that's really great. I'm going to call. So I called you. It's the Greyhound bus station. Come on. When are we going to have this relationship where I get the real number and not the Greyhound bus station?
We have it. And I tell you what, I'm going to get ahead of the curve here, too, because the bottom line is if you do have a loved one who's getting up there in age a little bit, it's important to be proactive. By the way, if you can't make one of the workshops, too, Larry wanted to let you know the phone lines are open now. 571-5263 if you have any questions. Larry, when I say proactive, better now than to wait. Because you've told me about this. It's like, yes, we can handle it if you're in a crisis situation. Right. But certainly there are some things you can do ahead of the curve that can really benefit you in the long run, right?
Steve Langdon does a phenomenal job. And if you recall, I think I was on last week where a gentleman called in where literally Steve Langdon saved the farm. And that was basically kind of a pre-planning where Steve does a great job on the legal component where the family came in. Steve, being the elder law attorney, was able to do things on the real estate to basically protect the farm because everybody else was telling this family, you've got to sell the farm. It's too late. Mom's in the nursing. You're going to lose it. And when he got to the right guy like Steve Langdon, Lee Stevenson, that really wasn't the case. Well, that was kind of a pre-planning, kind of a pre-crisis planning. But then also, when we're at the workshops, I ask families basically 3 questions. How many families have a loved one in a nursing home or about to go to nursing home? Hands will go up. And I'll tell the families, I'll tell everybody in the audience, if you're honest, you don't have to be honest with me, but if you're honest with yourself, those families, our hands are going to go up on at least one of those 3 questions. The second question is, how many people went through this in the past? Maybe it was their dad or an uncle, and they kind of like to get out from under it for themselves down the road. Second hand will go up. And then the third is, how many people have a loved one back at home, they've been in rehab, they're not really sure how the home health care component is going to work. I think Nancy Galloway from Senior Helpers is coming in Monday to talk more about the home health care component. So then the third question is, how many people have dad or mom back home, they've been in rehab, but they think they may have to do that? That's pre-crisis planning. And if the families and the audience, there's 50 plus people that we can hold at Kentucky, are honest with themselves, everybody's hand is going to go up at least once.
Sure.
If they're honest with themselves. And so that's why they need our help. Either if it's a crisis plan, they're going through $7,000, they're going through rehab, they're back home. we're not sure what side of the fence we're going to fall on, or we'd like to avoid it for our kids in 20 years so they don't have to go through that. So Steve definitely handles that pre-crisis planning as well. And by the way, Cheryl A. Powers, baby, we're going to Disney World. Cheryl A. Powers, she loves me, but Betty, you get it all. She super loves John Ramsey. Cheryl A. Powers, I don't want to mention her real name. It's Cheryl A. Powers, Kentuckiana, but she loves you and loves Wave 3 Listens Live, and she's watching today. Cheryl, heart for you, love you. And baby, we're going to Disney World, and we're not driving, we're flying first class Delta.
That's right.
Disney World, Cheryl A. Powers.
She loves me because I bring good information with guests like you.
And
Larry Weiss.
Luann Miller, I won't use her real name. It's Luann Miller in LaGrange. Super duper loves John Ramsey, maybe a little bit of love for me. But you have a following.
I love her back.
And
I
maybe
do.
Elder Advisors does too, John.
There you go.
I
Okay.
love what I do.
I know you do, and you're very passionate about it, and I think those workshops, as you can tell, will be very entertaining. But
They
good
are
information
informative.
as
You
well.
might learn something too,
Yes,
Kentuckiana.
very good information.
Yeah.
I think it's important you talk about protecting assets and
Yeah.
the financial component, which is important to people. You don't have to be throwing away the monies, but your money. But you have to know the rules to play the game.
That is correct.
But there is also this side of it, which I think there's great value here. It may not be dollar-wise, but great value in peace of mind.
It is peace of mind. And the other part, I know with this lady that's coming down from Madison today, you know, unlike you, John, I gave her my real cell number. Bad form, John, bad form. But she called me, I think 2 days after I met her last week, and she had a question. I knocked it out real easy for her. And you know what? You could just tell her, fine. Because otherwise, in the world people work with professionals, whomever they're working with, usually they play phone tag, whoever they're calling in life, whoever they're calling. It takes 3 days for that person to get back to them. Well, in the meantime, they are stressed out to the max. And I'm kind of like Doc on Gunsmoke. I'm 24/7 because I want
that
these
was
people.
telling right there, Doc on Gunsmoke.
I know, you know. I grew up in the 70s, but it was the color. You grew up when it was black and white.
I'm with you. That kind of hurt, but probably true. So let's just stick with that. Okay, but in other words, you respond quickly.
I do.
And I think this is something I do know about you. We kid, we try to be upbeat and entertaining, but you genuinely care.
I do, and Kentuckiana, this is tough stuff. No one wants to have to deal with this. But let us take that weight off your shoulders. Let's take that stress off your shoulders so you have someone to call, someone you can defer to. So, you know, Steve will definitely take care of the legal components. He'll answer all the questions and emails and phone calls from the state of Kentucky Medicaid or Indiana Medicaid, and we help with the financial part. We're helping people at the kitchen table get this life narrative together so they don't go broke in a nursing home. Because remember, as Steve the attorney calls it, it's a special exceptions, John. For husband and wife, we can protect all the assets.
All of them.
I don't care if dad's in the nursing home. Now, if they've already burned $25,000 and cashed out a CD, I can't get that back. I'm good. I'm not John Ramsey good. I'm just good. But the rest of the money I can protect. Oh, and by the way, do you know you cannot spell U of L without John Ramsey?
Is that right? You
That's
cannot.
what I heard.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
And for singles, we can protect about half the assets. Well, half of something's better than all of nothing.
There you go. Exactly right. Don't go broke in a nursing home.
Don't do it. You don't have to.
If you have a question, 571-5263. Yes, you can save your assets. Yes, you can have peace of mind. And it's just Elder Advisors. No competition. We'll come back more with Larry Weiss and your questions. 571-5263. We'll be back after these. Don't go broke in a nursing home. Larry Weiss is just one member of the team. Obviously, the top of the. You're at the top of the food chain.
I'm top of the food chain,
Yeah,
baby.
you are top
That's
of the food
how I
chain
roll.
and the big cheese.
I am.
Yeah, but you also surround yourself with very intelligent people. Talk a little bit about the team. You mentioned Steve Langdon.
Steve, he of course is one of the partners at McNeely Stevenson Law Firm. To be effective at what we do, I surround myself with top talent, and it definitely begins with Steve Langdon at McNeely Stevenson Law Firm. You always need a legal component. You also need a financial component. That's what Elder Advisors does as well. And my team, Denise Manicky, my business partner, is a former Medicaid supervisor with Kentucky. She spent 10 years telling families, you can't get benefits.
So
there she is.
She knows how to work it because she's been on the other side.
And now she's on the side of the client. She's our secret weapon. She helps families navigate the process to protect those assets. I'm sorry, every time I see it, but he's drop dead gorgeous, John. I mean, he's not John Ramsey good looking, but he's pretty good looking. Oh, there's, of course, the beautiful Denise
both of you
Manicky.
trump us. Yeah, you guys look great together, and it's entertaining, but it is good information.
It is good.
Because I do think, you know, you talk about protecting your assets. There are people who you can blow through a lot of money unless you know how to play the game,
Right.
and the rules do change.
They change all the time. That's why, of course, Mr. Langdon's up right now. He's always an important component of this. It's the centerpiece of this to protect those assets because he has a legal background. He's a former trial attorney, federal state court, both sides of the river, and that's who you need in your corner to protect these assets, because it is not easy. You know, I can declare we're going to protect all the assets for husband and wife, or a single person about half, but I need the skill set of the attorney behind me to back it up, because otherwise the state's always going to deny an application, and the families are going to lose money that otherwise is not completely necessary.
It's about keeping money in your pocket.
Right.
It's your money, keeping it in your pocket, and peace of mind.
Right.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the workshops. Okay?
Well, the workshops, of course, we're doing the workshops Monday, August 5th, 6 o'clock at the 4 Points by Sheraton, exit 132 off of 65. And, of course, Tuesday morning for the Indiana folk, 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn on Broadway, right off of Veterans Parkway. And I will tell the folks at both workshops, you need to get there early, because for the first time in June, we kind of sort of unofficially turned people away because they didn't want to sit in the back behind the pillar and they couldn't see. So these workshops are filling up. You can go to the website, elderadvisors.com, or, of course, call 855-LARRY-55.
Yes.
One way or the other, get on there. You're talking about the staff. I am surrounded by top talent. A lot of people think my favorite employee is Autumn Schneider. It's not by a long shot. My favorite is Elijah Harris. Elijah is my go-to guy. He was out in the community today delivering and picking up paperwork from a client. No one does that, people. No one does that. But Elijah is my go-to guy. I love him like the son I never had. He never complains. He just goes. And that's another component that we bring, is back to the stress. You know, they don't want to drive through traffic. You know, they can't see at night and stuff like that, whatever the issue is. Elijah takes care of that. He is by far my favorite employee. My second favorite employee is Suzanne, because she's hard at work at the office. What's Tammy, my producer, saying, what's Autumn doing? Tammy, I don't know what Autumn's doing. She's probably watching a movie for all I know. I pay these people and they just, you know, go and do their own thing. Denise is out doing a great job taking care of the families on the front line of this. And Tim Goebel is the best kept secret of Elder Advisors. He is out holding families' hands, doing what needs to be done. And that's why I'm saying no one does this stuff. They're given papers, John. The families, they meet someone and go, here, Kentucky, and take the papers. When you get them done, get back to me. And poor Mr. Johnson, who's 82 years old, doesn't have a clue how to get this stuff done. Well, guess what? If Mr. Johnson, Kentucky, and doesn't get this money moved by 5 o'clock today, he's going to lose benefits because he's over-resourced. He's got to pay for August.
See, there you go.
He didn't have to do it.
Yep, if that sounds a little bit over your head, then you need to attend one of these workshops. Let's go to the phones and talk to Peggy. We've asked for calls, and Peggy has been nice enough to respond. Peggy, you have a question for Larry?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
I own a house that has a second mortgage on it, but hopefully it will be paid off soon. And I want the house to go to my daughter. How do I insure that?
Well, Peggy, that's probably more of a legal question, but I can tell you in my own situation, if the home is in your name, when you come to the workshop, Mr. Langdon talks about different avenues to ensure that that property can go to your daughter. There's things that perhaps you can do now ahead of time to kind of avoid some problems, whether it might be a probate issue later or a nursing home issue. But for the purposes of today's phone call, there are certainly things that can be done, but you want to do it the correct way. So many people out there in TV land, Peggy, do it the wrong way because they don't seek the proper legal counsel that Steve Langdon and McNeely Stevenson brings to the table. It's a free workshop. Come on out. We'll be glad to talk to you. Make sure you set aside a minute to say hi to me. We'll make sure Steve answers your questions.
Yeah, and something you mentioned before that is important. You might want to think about this. Power of attorney. Get ahead of that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, power of attorney is phenomenal. As a matter of fact, we're doing a home visit, I think whatever August 9th is, I think it's a Friday. We're doing a home visit. The aunt is getting a little hard to kind of get out of the house, so we're doing the home visit. Remember Docklin Gunsmoke? We're going to the home.
Whatever it takes.
Okay, that's right. Whatever it takes. Mr. Langdon, and this is really great, Steve gets out of the law office. I'm not suggesting other attorneys do or don't, but I know Steve does. He doesn't just make people come to him. He will go to the families. That's what's so great about Steve. He will go out with the families, help them do this, because the family, he sat down the other day, the nephew, and I started asking financial questions, and I could tell I'm getting deer in the headlights, kind of a glossy eye. He's like, well, I don't really know. And I said, well, who's power of attorney? Well, nobody. I said, you need power of attorney. So Mr. Langdon is an attorney. He drafts those documents. We're going to get that and then help the family navigate. That's more of the pre-crisis plan. They can kind of see what's maybe going on, but they ought to be able to have the keys to the car, so we've got to get that power of attorney.
There we go. So there's the legal side of it, the real estate side of it.
Mr. Langdon, the attorney, does.
There's insurance side of it. There's all kinds of components here, but you can learn about it all at one of the workshops, again, for elder advisors. Don't go broke in a nursing home. That is key. Invite them out one more time if you will.
Kentuckiana, please come out. Keep an open mind. It's never too late. Monday, August 5th, 6 o'clock, 4 Points by Sheraton. Get there early. Seats are now filling up quick. And, of course, Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn on Broadway in Clarksville off Veterans Parkway. They start at 10 o'clock. You need to get there early to get a seat and get a cup of coffee. It's never too late. Keep an open mind. Don't listen to barbershop law. They're always wrong.
Information is power. That's certainly, that's the truth. It is power. Again, elder advisors. Welcome back to Wave 3 Listens. Okay, there is a misconception that you have to spend a lot of money in a nursing home. And if you don't know the rules, you may have to do that. But if you know the good folks at Elder Advisors, then you don't go broke in a nursing home. They do not want that. With us now, I've got a guest who is part of the team at Elder Advisors. This is Dana Bergen. Dana Bergen's expertise lies in the Medicaid category. She works with McNeely Stevenson Law Firm. Dana, welcome in.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, nice to meet you. I want to hear more about the partnership, because Larry Weiss, who we're going to bring out here in a second, always talks about, surrounding himself with smart people and having experts in real estate and in law and in Medicaid in your case.
Right.
So we're going to talk to you a little bit more about that. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, whenever we talk about Elder Advisors, we have to talk to the president and CEO. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my next guest, Mr. Larry Weiss.
John.
And he looks, ladies and gentlemen.
Kentuckiana, it is Feel Good Friday, and I'm sorry you didn't get that from John Ramsey at Wave 3 Listens Live. I'm not going to suggest John was remiss. John, you dropped the ball. Feel Good Friday, baby. Feel it, live it, know it.
Yeah, and don't adjust your television set. That is a pink seersucker, and he looks fabulous in it.
Beautiful, baby.
As he always does.
I'm living, I'm not existing, John.
Don't go broke in a nursing home.
Don't do it. You don't have to.
Yeah, the misconception, and it can be true, if you don't know the rules, yeah, it can be very expensive. But if you know the rules, you can protect your assets with Elder Advisors. Larry, is that a correct overview? There's a lot of different areas. We're going to talk about Medicaid in a little bit with Dana, but tell me about, what you do exactly.
Well, what Elder Advisors does, John, is we help families transition their loved ones from their homes, home health care, assisted living, or long-term care using financial and legal strategies to protect assets for families so they don't go broke in a nursing home. And we've been doing this now for 24 years. We, of course, have our workshops. Jennifer, pulling camera 4. No, Tammy's not here. Jennifer, you own production.
Here he goes.
Jennifer, step it up. Okay. But we're doing the work. Are you okay?
Yes.
Okay. So we're doing workshops Monday night, 4 p.m. at the 4 Points by Sheraton off Crittenden Drive. We do it monthly. And, of course, Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn in Clarksville on Broadway. And what's happening now is, like if you go to the concert, if you wait till the end, you're up in the nosebleed section. That's what's happening when the attendees are coming in the workshop. The people that get there at 6 o'clock, they're getting the nosebleed seats. They're behind the pillar. They're back by the ice maker. So they're starting to fill up. And a lot of it is the success of the show here.
Well, and I also think it's great information, but there's entertainment value. This is not going to put you to sleep, as you can tell with Larry.
Wake up, Kentuckiana.
But it is critical information.
It is critical information because, this is tough stuff families are dealing with. And I have to say that, we continue to enjoy success from Wave 3 Listens Live with John Ramsey. Are you offended when I give the heart of love, John?
No, I like it.
I love the heart of love.
Everyone needs a little love.
Everybody loves Wave 3 Listens Live with, wait for it, John Ramsey. But, we work across both states, Kentucky and Indiana, and there's no better example than after the show, we had a family call from Madison because I was telling the viewers on Wednesday we had a lady coming down from Madison that had to place her husband at a facility. Well, a sister heard the show, called her brother. He called Elder Advisors Wednesday afternoon. He did not want to wait for the workshop. He had to get in. So I met with him yesterday at 4 o'clock. Yeah, he's on it. And I'm meeting him now Tuesday. And this is how smart this guy was with the show and everything. I said, I can meet you Tuesday afternoon. And the guy said, well, don't you have a workshop? I was kind of impressed. I said, actually, that's Monday night. Thank you, Jennifer. Monday night is Kentucky 4 Points by Sheraton workshop. I said, Tuesday is the 10 a.m. Indiana workshop. So I said, I'll make time for you at 4 o'clock. So anywhere Kentucky hears Larry Weiss's radiant voice and John Ramsey's, we can help. We drive. We go anywhere in the state. They may have to come in once to see us, but after that, they can use the Pony Express, Smoke Signal. Danny, you were saying you've been out of town visiting families as well.
Yes, I've been down to Powell County, Kentucky to actually do a Medicaid filing. It's down close to Red River Gorge.
So you tell me, you surround yourself with the best in the business.
Absolutely.
When it comes to Medicaid, Dana, if you would, you and Larry, talk about her role and exactly what she does, because you said she's in the trenches.
She is the integral part. Steve Langdon, I always sing Steve's praises, which are very sincere, because you always need an attorney, because when we tell families in Kentucky, come out to the workshop, keep an open mind. It's never too late. Forget about the barbershop law, because it's wrong. It's well-intentioned, but it's wrong. You know, you hear all this stuff, you shouldn't have done this, you couldn't do that. No, it's wrong. If husband and wife, if one spouse goes in the nursing home, like the gentleman that came in last night, we can protect all of the assets.
All of them.
All of them. Steve calls them special exceptions. If it's a single person, we can protect about half of the assets. Well, half of something's better than all of nothing, even if they're in a nursing home. But where the rubber hits the road really is Dana Bergen, because she's the one that goes down to the L&N building and parks at 8:30 in the morning and wait for them to call you up.
Yes.
That's part of what they're paying us for, is to be their advocates. So they don't have to camp out all day at the L&N building. Do you want us to take a book with you?
Yes, and a lunch.
And I know this is simplified, and I know it's more complex than this, but the bottom line is, because you know the rules of the game and you know exactly what you need to do, not only can you expedite the process and do it quickly, but you can save people money, and as Larry says, protect assets, right?
Right. When the families go in by themselves to do this, they will only bring a portion of the information. What we do, we like to take all of the information.
Oh, yeah. I want it all.
And we will not go to Medicaid until we have everything. So, because they have a verification process. So if we don't give that information in Kentucky, it's 30 days. They'll give you 30 days to get it, and sometimes Medicaid will not look at it for those 30 days, even if it's in their system, if I turn it in 2 days later. So, because they have like points where they have to go in and look at each different case. Indiana, same way. With Indiana's new system, it's taken longer for cases to be approved.
So you mentioned
now.
new system. The rules do change, and you
Yes.
all know, you're very aware.
The rules do change. They usually change in June or July, and we're really on that. Steve and I go to Medicaid seminars. Medicaid people are involved in those with all elder law attorneys, and so we start making new policies and trying to figure out what to do. We tell him what he can't do now, and we just try to find other ways to circumvent and save that money.
Thank goodness for people like you, Dana, because yeah, it can be complex, and you stay atop all the rules.
Yes,
so if they do change, you'll be aware of it. And again, it's about protecting assets and saving you money.
Don't go broke in a nursing home.
Don't go broke in a nursing home. She's only part of the equation. I mean, don't get me wrong, Medicaid's huge.
It is.
But there are other components. The other folks that you surround your, obviously she's very accomplished. Tell us about the other different entities that you need to be, that are a part of elder advisors.
Well, it's like I was saying yesterday, or on the workshops, there's basically 3 questions we ask at the workshops, which, Jennifer, I'm getting to it. Pulling camera 2, a little more. There you go. Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, we're doing the workshops Monday night, 6 o'clock at the 4 Points by Sheraton. Don't go broke in a nursing home. Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. But there's basically 3 key questions we ask families, because remember, Kentuckiana, it's never too late. We can protect assets. So we ask 3 questions, and if the families are being honest with themselves, they don't have to be honest with me, John. If they're honest with themselves, every hand's going to go up at least once. So the first question I'll ask is, how many people have a loved one in a nursing home now or about to go? Hands will go up. You need our help. Yesterday, we're going to help. That's crisis planning. We can help. I don't care that Gus at the coffee shop said it won't work. It does work. The second question is, how many people have a loved one home now? Maybe they've been in rehab, they're back home trying to transition. That's pre-crisis planning. A few more hands will go up. We can help there, because there's things that we can do in anticipation of perhaps going back to the nursing home or even staying at home. There's things that we can do. The third variable is, again, if everybody's being honest, then I'm going to get the remaining hands up, which is, how many people have been through this in the past with a parent or loved one and would like to avoid it for themselves or their kids later? And then the remaining hands go up. And then there is a fourth question. How many people think John Ramsey is drop dead gorgeous? John, people are standing. I mean, it's a riot. Everybody loves John Ramsey.
No silence, no hands.
John,
it's okay.
you're DDG, baby. Drop dead gorgeous. Kentuckiana loves you. You are a treasure, John. Treasure.
It is okay. But these workshops, though, really, you do need to attend, because
thank you.
How many times have you seen people or heard people say to you, Larry, I wish I'd have known of you before, because I flushed so much money, I didn't realize I could protect my assets.
And that's true, but we can still help. We can still make lemonade out of the lemons. If Mr. Smith comes in and his wife is in the nursing home, they've been in there for 4 or 5 months, well, depending on what state they're in, we can probably protect everything and get credit for those months. Kentucky nuance is a little different, but that's why they need to come to the workshops. Or if it's a crisis plan, folks, like the gentleman that came down from Milton, Kentucky, I told him I'll go see him in Milton, but I have to be out by nightfall because the locals will beat me up. And the seersuckers are like this. I ain't going to make it. I ain't going to make it till nightfall. But he's coming down, so we help them so we can get those assets protected. It's never too late, Kentuckiana. Come out to the workshops. They're now filling up pretty quick. You don't want the nosebleed seats. You want to get in early. Jennifer's doing a great job putting the panel up for the workshop. 6 o'clock, 4 Points by Sheraton in Louisville, and of course 10 a.m. in in New Albany. Let's try the third time. Clarksville at the Hampton Inn, 10 a.m. Don't go broke in a nursing home. So yes, if Mr. Smith comes in, we may not be able to help with what he's lost, but we can certainly help the rest of it. Which brings it back to Dana Bergen, because she is the litmus test for this. She is the backstop for this. I have 2 of my staff, my office manager, Suzanne House, and Tim Goebel, the best kept secret of elder advisors. They meet with her every week to go over these files. Measure twice and cut once, because when we're trying to get money lined up so they don't have to write a check effective August 1st for $8,000, we've got to get it right.
You said $8,000.
Easily.
Ooh.
Easily.
All right, coming up here in the next segment, there's a misconception about, well, if I'm protecting my assets, then I'm probably not getting quality care for my loved one. That's not necessarily
true. I'm going to knock that down today.
Yes.
That nail that popped up, I'm going to pop it down hard.
Yeah, we want to talk about that. Dana, you're excellent. Thank you. And we're going to talk to some folks from the Green Valley Care Center, too. So they're a part of the team as well. So that's all coming up next. Don't go broke in a nursing home. Elder Advisors. We'll be back.
Don't do it.
Don't go broke in a nursing home. Now, there's many different entities that you'll hear about when you talk to Elder Care. They're experts in their field. Larry Weisreed joins me, the president and CEO of Elder Advisors. Okay, when it comes to Elder Care, there are a different component. Elder Advisors, you're the one who puts them together. You make the partnerships, you connect the dots. So tell me about Green Valley Care Center.
Well, right before I segue back to Green Valley Care, you were talking about on the last segment that I've had a family reach out, and they were concerned because let's just take a single person. They come in with $80,000. We're typically going to protect about half, say $40,000. So we're going to set $40,000 back, working within the confines of the Deficit Reduction Act of 2005, which imposes that 5-year look back. That's what everybody hears out there. Well, if it's more than 5 years or less than 5 years, that's why we can protect half. Well, I think there's a conception or misconception out there from the community that, well, if you do that, somehow mom and dad's care is going to suffer because you kind of didn't give the nursing home everything. Folks, the biggest thing you can do with your family, it isn't love, it isn't money, it is love. Simply take care of your parents, look out for them, because if we park that $40,000 over there, you've got money now. If mom wants her nails done every Friday, or you want to pay a caregiver to come out and have lunch with her every other day and do stuff, you've got money to ensure her care is taken care of in a manner that you feel best can be met. But having said all that, Green Valley Care does a phenomenal job because they don't know who the pay source is. They don't know who's writing the check. These people have been there for years. They're consummate professionals. Their duty is to the patient, the resident, and the families. So nothing could be further from the truth that if money is moved off to the side or we accelerate the eligibility for benefits, that somehow the parent is not going to receive the care that they deserve or need, and that is not true.
Okay, and Mark and Marcy, welcome back to the show. And I have to ask you, a little bit of a takeaway. You mentioned something, and I think, Marcy, you and Mark both can back this up, is you'll give them quality care. If you want them to have some love mixed in there, and you guys are going to give a little of that too, but the family can visit any time, right? Right, Mark?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, like we were talking about earlier, I really do feel like the families and the patients are the ones that hold us accountable for providing that quality of care. And so if we aren't providing the good quality of care, there's plenty of other places that they can go. So it really holds us to a standard to make sure that, you know, we're doing everything that we can to maximize this patient's quality of life throughout.
Yeah, you're all about customer care. You're a customer care specialist at Green Valley, right?
Yes.
So what does that include when we say customer care? If you were describing your job, and that's what I'm asking you to do, what do you do exactly?
My job is kind of a mixed thing, but so I do, like when someone is coming in, I meet with that family, I give them tours, I show them how things work, answer questions, but even after they come into the facility, I continue to follow them through that transition period. I make constant contact for that family if they have questions, and I'm not always the person that can answer them, but I see that they get to that right person.
Yep, you're director of rehab, so if there's any rehab needs, Mark and his team takes care of that. Obviously, you're very proud of these guys at Green Valley.
They are the best. They really are. They're great. They are the dynamic duo of Green Valley.
All right, if someone would like to meet with you all, there are tours available, correct?
Yes.
Alrighty, and give them a call today. Green Valley Care Center, just part of the team of Elder Advisors. Don't go broke in a nursing home.
Baby.
Welcome back to Wave 3 Listens. By now you know the slogan, don't go broke in a nursing home. It's a real fear. And you can't win the game if you don't know the rules, and that's what it's all about with Elder Advisors. Steve Langdon is with me here, and Steve is part of the team with Elder Advisors. He's an attorney, and attorneys, as you may know, a lot like doctors, have specialties. So before we introduce the man who created Elder Advisors, I want to ask you, what's your specialty, Steve?
Well, my practice focuses on elder law. That could be pre-planning, could be crisis planning. So if you got that situation where you've got a loved one, a relative who's going into a nursing home, or may soon be thinking about nursing home situations, need to reach out, need to come out to the workshops tonight, tomorrow, get a chance to understand what you can do to save what you have so you don't go broke in a nursing home.
I'm telling you what, knowledge is power. And without further ado, we're going to introduce the man who, yes, he created the slogan, and yes, he has the answers for you, Elder Advisors, the creator of Elder Advisors. Please welcome my guest, Mr. Larry Weiss. Larry.
Kentuckiana, welcome to this beautiful, glorious John Ramsey Wave 3 Lessons Live Day. Got to give a couple shout outs to John and Donna Schwartzlows in New Albany, but also Big Daddy and Baby Doll Conrad in Sellersburg, Indiana. They love me, and they kind of love John Ramsey, but Big Daddy and Baby Doll run Sellersburg, Indiana. It's not the mayor, it's Big Daddy and Baby Doll in Sellersburg, Indiana. Welcome, Kentuckiana. Don't go broke in a nursing home.
Larry, no one rocks a seersucker like you do, my man. No one rocks
Camera
a seersucker.
he's got to stop it. Get back to work. Stop it. We're on live television.
Larry, you look fabulous.
I am drop dead gorgeous and beautiful John, Kentuckiana.
Can you keep the energy up, though, for these workshops?
I'm going to try, baby. Don't go broke in a nursing home, Kentuckiana. Don't do it. You don't have to.
You know, everyone has fears. Some people fear spiders.
Mine's
Some
live
fear
television,
snakes.
John. I'm scared to death.
Some people fear being on television, but a lot of people fear, and you should, going broke in a nursing home because it happens. But if you have the team of Elder Advisors with you, then it will not happen to you. That's it in a nutshell,
It does
right?
not have to. That is really the moniker of Elder Advisors, John. Don't go broke in a nursing home because you don't have to. You were speaking before with Steve about the rules. Well, that's what's so important in Kentuckiana. No one has the rule book. The state of Indiana, Kentucky have their rule book, don't they, Counselor?
Yeah, absolutely.
They have their rule book, which is usually not to the liking of the clients and the consumers out there because they're left floundering. That's why they come out to the workshops tonight at the 4 Points by Sheraton, 6 o'clock on Crittenden Drive, and 10 a.m. Thank you, Chris. Chris, you're a little late on panel 2. Bring it up. I already missed Tammy. Bring it up. There you go. For the Indiana people, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn. It's never too late. Steve Langdon and McNeely Stevenson is going to talk about developing a rule book. So the clients have a rule book to understand how they can protect their assets, because we declare at the workshops for husband and wife, if one spouse is going into a nursing home, John, we can protect all the assets. If it's a single person, we can protect about half of the assets. Well, half of something, like I always like to say, is better than none at all.
That's right.
Because everybody's navigating out there in Kentucky in a Wave 3 TV land under the auspice that, well, nothing can be done because they're operating under barbershop law. Barbershop law is almost always wrong. It may be well-intentioned, but they're always wrong because they don't understand the nuances of the legal part that Steve Langdon brings with McNeely Stevenson. Kentuckiana, come out tonight. It's a free workshop, 6 o'clock, tomorrow 10 a.m. in Indiana. It's never too late. Even if someone's in a nursing home, we can protect dollars that they don't have to lose. Is it easy? No, it's not. That's why we need Steve Langdon, McNeely Stevenson.
There we go. Yeah, it's never too late, but it will be too late if you don't get your reservation because you're filling up very fast.
They do fill now.
Yeah, you don't want a bad seat. I'm telling you what, it's critical information. If you have an elder loved one who's making that transition, perhaps they're even going to stay at home but need a little extra care. We know it's all very personalized. They can answer all of your questions at these workshops. Okay, Steve, let's talk a little bit about your specialty and how you got involved. I think everyone, like Larry, you know, you have a passion for what you do, but for you it was a very personal passion, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I've got the greatest job in the world. I get to help folks. Not every attorney gets to say that.
Right.
I get to help some people. I got involved in doing this through a personal experience. My own a family member who ended up in a nursing home who unfortunately did go broke and went broke because I didn't know what the rules were. I was a litigator. I wasn't an elder law attorney at the time, but found out pretty quickly that those things that the nursing homes told us or the Medicaid office told us or what I read on the internet, they weren't right. It wasn't accurate. There was a lot of things that we could have done to help my brother. and I dove straight in. I became an elder law attorney within a year, and I've been doing it ever since, because nobody needs to go through what I went through.
Wow. Misconceptions. I want to talk to you about this, Larry, because there's a misconception that if I save my assets, if I put more money in my pocket, then perhaps my elder loved one gets less care. Not true.
That's not true, and that is really something we need to impress upon the viewers, because a lot of times the family, maybe one of the siblings, that's one step back because the brother in town is handling the power of attorney. So oftentimes, just human nature, they're thinking that if some of this money is moved off, that somehow mom or dad's care will suffer because of that. That's not the case. But for the office manager, the business office at the front office, no one down the halls, corridor A, B, and C, no one has a clue who the pay source is. That means who's paying the bill. Okay, no one knows, because the same level of care is being administered to these residents without any concern about who's paying or what's being paid. That's not true. What we are doing is ensuring that money is put back, so if the family wants to ensure that maybe a care provider goes out from Senior Helpers and goes out every Friday and has lunch with mom and does her hair and nails, they've got money put back to do that. Because if they go broke in a nursing home, they don't have the money to do that.
There we go.
So there's a lot of things that you can do, and that's why we talk about it at the workshops tonight. It's so crucial, Kentuckiana. Come out to the workshops, DVR your TV tonight. It's worth giving up an hour and a half of your time to be in the room with Steve Langdon and Amelia Stevenson Law Firm and understand what can be done, because so much can be done. It's never too late. Forget about the barbershop law. You need your own rule book, not what the state has. You need your own rule book. Steve does that.
And although you have all of the answers tonight, any of the questions you may have, I think something we should stress here, Steve, and you know how important it is, being proactive. And if you go to these information seminars, you'll know what to do ahead of time. Don't get me wrong, you can help at any time.
Sure.
Anytime.
Yeah.
But it does help if you're ahead of the curve, right?
Oh, you just got to have the knowledge. And that's what this is. I mean, we're going to sit down and talk to you, whether you're pre-planning or you're dealing with a crisis. We're going to give you the information that you need so that you can make those knowledgeable next steps.
Yeah,
You've got to have the information.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things we don't know, and because of my conversations with you, I'm slowly but surely being educated about power of attorney.
Very important.
About making sure that all the siblings are on the same team, about having someone who represents mom or dad in their time of need, and I think it's important to stress, you guys are on their side. This is important.
And the other misconception people operate over, and there's probably some viewers in television land, Wave 3 listens live right now, is, well, we already have an elder law attorney. Well, folks, there's doctors and there's doctors.
Right.
There's attorneys and there's elder law attorneys like Steve Langdon, because so many people, we've had to clean up paperwork, shall we say, when well-intentioned people, I'm walking on eggshells, but not everybody is cut from the same cloth.
There we go. Now,
Steve is, because, you know, unless you're walking the halls of Medicaid, L&M building every day, or in Oldham County, Bullitt County, whatever, you're not going to be conversant with these rules and nuances.
okay, critical part of the team, of course, is Steve Langdon. Another critical part of the team is Nancy Galloway, who
Very
we're going
important.
to meet. Before we bring her out in the next segment, tell me a little bit about Nancy and what she does.
Well, you know, like I tell you at the workshops, there's 3 questions we ask. Do you have someone in a nursing home or about to go? Would you like to avoid this for your family 20 years down the road? She falls into that 3rd question, which is, you know, do you have a loved one at home now that's maybe been in some rehab that you're trying to keep at home? Hands will go up there. There's certainly legal components that Steve brings to the table. There's some financial components, but almost always there's a home health care component, and that's what Nancy Galloway brings to the table, because I don't do everything, I certainly don't know everything, and I'm certainly not an attorney, but I surround myself with top talent, whether it's Steve Langdon and Amelia Stevenson, or Nancy Galloway, Senior Helpers, because they can do that home health component when families have questions about that. That's why we always bring her in to help families with that pre-planning or just pre-crisis planning, trying to keep mom at home.
There we go. Your mom, your dad, your grandmother, your grandfather, they've worked very hard for these assets. Keep those, and they'll tell you exactly how that works. Coming up next, as we mentioned, Nancy Galloway will join us. She's part of the team at Elder Advisors. Don't go broke in a nursing home. We'll return after these. Workshop for critical information. Larry, tell them all about it.
Yeah, Kentuckiana, don't go broke in a nursing home. You don't have to. The government, the state has their rule book. You need your own. Don't go broke in a nursing home. We're going to protect assets and show you how to do it tonight. 6 o'clock at the 4 Points by Sheraton on Crenton Drive by the Fairgrounds, and Tuesday morning at Indiana. 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn on Broadway. It's never too late. The workshops now pretty much fill up. If you don't want a seat back by the ice maker or by the columns in the back, get in early so we can get you a seat.
Yep, and it is really good information. Nancy Galloway is part of the team. She works for Senior Helpers. Senior Helpers, I think every situation is unique, Nancy, and you're about folks, and I think there's a lot of them, who really want to stay at home and grow old at home where they're comfortable, correct?
That's correct. Most people we meet with do want to stay at home, and oftentimes we get a call from Larry because he's met with them and they've determined that the family wants to stay at home, and so he refers them to us and we can help then. Other times we get calls because the family realizes that their loved ones need a little bit of extra help to be able to remain independently at home. And then sometimes it's because of crisis, because they've landed in the hospital, they've gone to rehab, and now they want to transition them back home, and they call us to help make that happen.
So when you say help, obviously that's a broad term. What kind of help are we talking about specifically, Nancy?
We help with everything non-medical. So our first line of services involve things around the house, just household chores, cooking, cleaning, transportation, med reminders, things like that. And then the other area we can help with is personal care, which would be bathing, incontinence, transfers, keeping our clients safe from falls and things like that.
Isn't it nice to be a member of a winning team? You got Steve Langdon here. Nancy, you're a big part of this because it is important to really take care of a client. You have to know every single part, every piece of the puzzle, right?
Oh, that's so true. And you know, finances play a big role in trying to decide what to do with your loved one, and that's where Larry and his team come in to really look at the big picture and see, does it make sense to stay at home as long as you can, or is it time to go ahead and segue into a nursing home?
Larry, I can tell that, like Steve, she's very humble. So tell me how critical she is to elder advisors.
Well, one of the goals I have when clients come in, they come into the workshops and then we'll often schedule free consultations. It's a free workshop tonight, and then we'll schedule a free consultation to better assess what their situation is. One of the things I truly hate, we've been doing this 24 years now, John, is I hate when a family sits down and there's nothing I can do for them, whether it's recommend a magazine to read. I want to be able to be a resource to some degree for something, whether they need legal help, which of course Steve Langdon does, or oftentimes it's just a home health issue. Maybe they need help with the VA and attendance pension benefit. Well, that's something Nancy does at her company. So she basically, you know, I have a lot of arrows in my quiver, and senior helpers is one of those, because if they want to stay at home and age in place, that's where I'm always happy to call Nancy, because she always returns the phone calls, goes out to the families and does assessments. But along with that, more often than not, there's always going to be need a legal component, because they probably don't have a power of attorney or anything. And those are things that Steve does and a whole lot more. So there's always a little component, a little bit of everything anytime we're meeting with clients. I want to be able to refer them to the right source.
So whether it's senior helper, Steve, or it's a senior living facility, a lot of times these things intertwine. You have to get involved on some level, right? And like, give me a for instance. Like someone maybe, let's say for instance, they want senior helpers, but they may need legal advice in what kind of area?
Well,
perhaps?
I mean, the power of attorney is a perfect example, because it may be a situation where mom or dad have had a stroke and they can't communicate. So they need somebody. They need that child to be able to step in and maybe sign legal documents, just help get bills paid. Just the natural things that mom and dad used to do. They used to take care for themselves, and they can't do it anymore. So if we can get out there and have that power of attorney for them, and then to have the great resource here with Nancy, it's just, what a blessing. You know, to be able to go somewhere and get all the answers that you need, and to make sure that your relatives are taken care of.
And Steve will go to the client's
access.
home. Access. I mean, we were in Seymour a couple weeks ago helping a family. We're meeting a family this Friday up in the Knobs. So Steve gets out of the office. He actually gets out of the office because the fundamental thing is Nancy's whole business model is built on going to the home, Kentuckiana. Sometimes you have to go to the client. Sometimes they're not able to come to you. Okay, so we go to them. You know, we make sure everybody's taken care of. If we have to go out and do a home visit, I know your favorite show is Gunsmoke and Doc, you know, but much like Doc on Gunsmoke. John, focus. John, right here. My eyes are here. Right here. Okay, we'll go do the home visit like Doc did on Gunsmoke. We'll go to the home and help those clients, because oftentimes they're just neglected and overlooked by everybody else because they couldn't load mom up in the chair and take her downtown or uptown to see an attorney. We'll go to them. We'll do everything possible to eliminate problems and bumps down the road for home health planning or legal planning.
You may be watching now and going, I have so many questions, so I advise you, please attend one of these workshops. You have a Q&A session.
We do.
And also, like you mentioned, free consultations afterwards.
Absolutely. And then we open up the floor tonight for quick questions. You know, sometimes at the concept I go, Mr. Smith, save that for next Tuesday when we meet with the attorney. We've got to keep the workshop going. It's very fast-paced. But Kentuckiana, it's never too late. The government has their rule book. You need your rule book. Mr. Langdon will help you with that at Amelia Stevenson Law Firm. Tonight, 6 o'clock, 4 Points by Sheraton. Tomorrow, Tuesday, 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn, New Albany. It's never too late. We can help protect those assets, even if a loved one's in a nursing home right now.
This is just part of the team, and Steve will be speaking, right?
Absolutely. It's always great when Steve's able to come out tonight, go over the legal nuances of what can be done either on pre-planning or crisis planning. We need Steve Langdon and McNeely Stevenson there, because there's almost always a legal component.
Don't go broke in a nursing home.
Don't do it, baby.
We'll be right back on Wave 3 Listens.